Oh, instead of like
Uh,
them singing it. Yeah.
Yeah, because like Lion King had one song, which was "Can You Feel the Love Tonight."
Right. But they still had plenty of musical songs too where they sang.
Yeah,
Yeah. So it still felt like the standard. Yeah.
yeah, just maybe a little altered. But Tarzan only had one singing scene, and that was when the apes were, you know.
Oh, yeah. I forget about that part. Yeah.
Welcome to Barf City, episode 21. I'm Eric.
I'm Kevin.
Ugh.
That's how your
So,
day's going, huh?
it's just one of those. It's just a normal day today, I guess, in a sense.
Yeah. You had to work yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah, I had to train the new guy for a little bit.
Yeah.
So I love the personal background you made for your last episode.
Yeah. I kind of ran with that episode, didn't I?
Yeah.
I was like, I went all out for that one. I was like, I got a background and everything.
Yeah. Special snowflake.
Well, I mean, I wasn't trying to be like that, but I mean, I could make like a background, and maybe eventually I will for like every episode. But like, there's a lot of episodes I wouldn't really know what kind of background to make, like, because there's some episodes I already struggle to like even come up with a title, let alone come up with a thumbnail. So it's like, yeah. So, but maybe eventually I will. Maybe I'll start doing one for every episode eventually, but it'll probably be a while. So.
Yeah, well, I think it's one of those things we need to do just for special episodes, just to mark them as these ones are special. It's not our typical episodes.
Yeah.
But so Kevin here, our friends.
No, don't blame me. This was your idea.
No, this was not my idea. Decided, I guess this episode we're going to end up talking about our top 5 Disney animated movies.
Yep.
To be specific, it's got to be the animated movies.
Well, I mean, I feel like if you extend it out to everything, it's just a little too broad. So. Plus, that's easier for me too because, admittedly, I'd never really watched that many Disney. I mean, a couple of Disney Channel movies when I was a kid, but beyond those, like I haven't really watched that many Disney films other than the animated ones. So.
Yeah.
And so I have kind of set some rules for myself. I mean, you can do it however you want it, but I am only doing the movies that are like the main studio animated movies are the only ones that I'm counting. So, but you can do it however you want if you want to do, you know.
No, why would I want to do only the main movies? Like the main.
Well, that I've just limited myself down to those because that's just what I wanted to do.
Main studio, I believe. I can't remember. I'd have to look.
Yeah, I know which ones are which. So.
I know. I haven't watched. Well, I can't say I haven't watched a Disney movie in a while because my last little trip with my in-laws.
Yeah,
they're always big into Disney stuff, so they're always watching Disney movies. So I've seen watching a few with them, but on average, by myself, since I became an adult, no, I don't really watch Disney movies. My wife still loves to watch them.
Yeah, but I don't watch a whole lot of those kids/family movies in general. Really, in the past, like I would say, a good past 6-7 years. Other than maybe a couple of them that I watched with my kids when they were a lot younger. Other than that, like I'm not the biggest fan of the modern day like kids/family movies. They're just kind of boring to me. But a lot of like kids and obviously kids like them. But a lot of these, I swear, like it seems like mostly women, like in their 30s and 40s, like get on Facebook and talk about these. Like they seem to be more into these movies than kids are. I was like, geez, yeah, I guess they like them because they're clean. I don't know, because they're like Christians or whatever.
Well, a lot of it too, like you'll see it for the women they'll openly talk about it, but men don't openly talk about when they enjoy that stuff.
Yeah,
typically.
Which I know men like it too. I just don't see them talking about it. Yeah, but yeah, like you said, it could be just like they want to openly talk about it.
Also, a good chunk of like men in their 30s and 40s don't really get on social media and talk a lot on there. It's the younger males that do it.
Yeah, that's true.
Eventually, when they're older, they'll be the new class of the older people that actually are doing it. But females got into social media quicker than males, in my opinion, because
That's because older females, particularly adults, they use, especially Facebook, but I guess social media in general, they use it as a place to go gossip. So about, especially about other family members. That's one reason why I got off Facebook, because I got tired of seeing everybody gossip about other family members. I'm like, I don't want to read all this.
Yeah, my brother uses it for memes and car stuff.
Yeah.
Older brother. I use it to keep a track with some friends that I don't have their phone numbers anymore because they've switched numbers.
Yeah.
And it became easier just to talk on Facebook. Because I've moved around states and a lot, and I've been around the world. So I got a lot of friends on Facebook that I've met from overseas.
Around the world, around the world. Oh, sorry.
I use Instagram for my audio drama stuff that I'm currently working on.
Yeah.
I'm not going to fully plug it here on our podcast. Not yet.
No, it's not ready yet. Still cooking.
Oh, it's been going to be cooking for another couple of years, probably.
Yeah.
Because I see a lot of fan projects, and they're like, "Oh, we'll do this," and then they take a couple of months, and then they release the episode, and then you got to wait a couple months to watch the next episode, or weeks, or however long it takes, depending on if it's a audio drama, live action. I'm the type of person. I'm like, okay, look, I'm gonna play this like an actual fucking TV series. I'm going to take the time, do all my scripts, get all my characters and all this. I'm going to do a full season's worth of script. And I'm going to give it to my, when I have the auditions, I'm going to give it to my people.
Yeah. Excuse me.
My cast. And have them record their entire script. And then I'm going to make every episode and then just release it.
Jeez.
And then when season 1's done by the weekly release, I'll start working on season 2. And that will be the break is between season 1 and season 2.
Yeah.
If I go to a season 2, depends on how well, everything works.
Right.
And that's how it would be. Like, I'm like, dude, people need to take their time in their live actions or any of their fan projects. Like, show people, show people trailers for the season or whatever, and have a release date for when the first episode is going to show, but do it bi-weekly like they do literally on TV. People are used to that. Yeah. To me, that'll keep the buzz going, keep your videos going, and this and that. Like, because I'm the type of person, I get bored quickly if something ain't. If I get into something and then I have to wait like months before even the next episode, I'm just like, because I feel
like a lot of people are like that. Yeah, they'll get bored or just flat out or just lose interest. So or patience in it, and just like just kind of move on.
Because when I find something new, I want them to watch it then, because that's what I'm currently into. Yeah. If you give me too much of a break, I'm going to need to find something else to watch for a while, and then I'm going to be into that for a little while.
Yeah.
And I might come back to whatever you did on your fan project show on YouTube, like maybe the next couple of years.
Yeah.
For me, especially if it's YouTube, if it was something that was done like they're like a limited series where they do like movie length episodes, and it takes, a few weeks before each of them come out on like Netflix or something, I could do that and come back to it if it's good anyways. But for me, on something on YouTube, you got to keep my attention going on YouTube. You got to release it every week for my attention to keep it going on YouTube.
Yeah. Understandable. Yeah, I will probably do the same thing with like the video games I'm working on. Like, when I get like finished with the first one and start working on the second one, I might talk about it on the podcast a little more often. But until then, like, it just feels kind of pointless to like advertise it because it's like I don't even know when it's going to be released yet. I mean, I'm almost done making it, but I don't know how long the testing period and all that stuff's going to take before I can actually finally get it like on Steam and on itch.io and all that stuff. So until that happens, since it's my first game, like, yeah.
Well, for me, like, I could sit here and, if people really wanted just to follow the progress, because I do periodically as I get new artwork or whatever done, I do post it on my Instagram, which is, just if people want to follow that, it's just type in Zeo Squadron on Instagram. Yeah. And you'll find it. If you're into like following products as they get built for whatever amount of time it takes in the production.
Yeah.
But it's also where I'll announce it when I'm ready to do auditions.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've uploaded a couple of gameplay examples of my game on YouTube, but I just haven't really tried to advertise them or anything. I just put them out there for the people who happen to come across it and then might be interested in being like, let's see where this project's going to go, kind of thing. So that's about as far as I've gone with it. So, which now that I talked about it, I probably should do an update on that because like it's been a long time since I've made another video.
Yeah, like actively when I talk to people, I actively talk about our podcast because this is the active.
Yeah, because this is something we're actually doing as we go. Yeah.
But my audio drama, and then of course, something I've never talked about on the podcast is the tabletop that I'm currently creating to hopefully eventually get done to actually sell in markets.
Yeah.
It's I got 2 tabletops that are my OC creations. They take inspiration from other things, but they're just mine themselves, something I can actually make money off of. And making tabletops is something I'm passionate about. I love to make tabletops. I've made tons of tabletops from other worlds, but I got 2 specifically that are my worlds.
Yeah.
I got a lot of work to do on them. I need to get back to working on them, actually, now that I talk about it. I'm taking a little hiatus because I got kind of stuck to where trying to figure out what to do next with it, and I need to get back on that. Yeah, but this podcast has the most of my attention though because it's fun. I don't care if we get popular or not off of it. Yeah. That's why I got that's why we still work an actual job and we have other stuff that we're doing that will eventually make money off of.
Yeah, well, this podcast has most of my current attention, but long-term attention. I mean, I guess this podcast has that too because I do plan on doing it long-term. But the games I'm working on, has more of my long-term attention, and even some of the books I'm writing. It's just the books are going to take even longer than the games because I'm kind of a slow writer. So
yeah. Well, like what I'm probably going to do, right, with alongside my audio drama, I was thinking on it. So I'm tempted to make the script when I do it. Make like the section pieces where that's just for me, like when the action comes in, the fight sequences and how it goes.
Yeah.
And then you're talking. I've been tempted to actually make that into a fan book. So people could actually read along the script with each episode.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I could legally do that because it is a fan project.
Yeah. I don't know how all that works. So yeah.
Look into that because that would be a cool thing to do.
Yeah, that would be cool.
I might also release a book alongside my tabletop. That's not just of course, the rule book and this and that, but a standalone story in that world. But yeah, this is more my long-term projects, which we've talked about. Either way, like at some point I decide I don't want to do it, you're still going to continue it. and vice versa. If you'd ever decided you don't want to do it, I'm going to just take over fully and continue.
Yeah.
Either way, the podcast is probably going to stay continued forever until we die.
Yeah. Most likely. I don't see I definitely don't see myself leaving this podcast at all, really, but definitely not anytime soon. So
yeah, at some point if we get good enough, popular enough, we might have to do interviews with some like small time people that we know that have projects that want to get the word out there and this and that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's a future project. That's a futurist thought process.
Yeah.
First section of this podcast, we're talking about the longevity of the podcast. Projects.
Yeah. Hey, I would almost rather talk about the podcast on the podcast, which sounds kind of weird, but then talk about, because like I remember like the first like 10 to 12 episodes, we could just not stop talking about work all the time. It's like somehow work just always came up.
Yeah, as this goes on,
we finally moved on from that, I think. So.
We might mention it every once in a while, but
I don't mind talking about it for like a minute, but yeah, we would often go on and on about it.
Well, I mean, our first episode is literally called "We Are the Masters."
I know, and like 90% of the episode was literally just us talking about work. So.
And how to become a security guard and what the details it means, blah 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 blah. So, I guess Marvel. We'll talk about actually some news wise and go into some nerd news that I've discovered.
Excuse me, jeez, I can't.
I guess Marvel's rethinking Phase 5.
Oh yeah,
because like they were apparently got a couple episodes of the Daredevil Reborn done, and they hadn't, of course, they hadn't released the series yet, but they scrapped it and started already redoing it. And apparently let 2 actors go, and I'm like, what are y'all doing? There's just all this weird shit they're doing with it.
Anytime I hear that with like a movie or a movie series, I'm always like, this could either turn out to be a good decision or this is all getting really mixed up right now and this may not work out too well. So,
yeah, there's a lot of weird things going on right now in news and Hollywood or whatever.
Yeah.
Movie and show plans.
Speaking of superhero movies, finally I watched, I don't know if you know about the Terrifier series with Art the Clown. It's like a slasher movie series. I finally watched Terrifier 2 yesterday. And that movie, even though it's a slash, like the first one's just straight up your standard. They're like independent movies, so really low budget. The first one's like your just standard like slasher movie. There's some guy that like looks like a clown. He has some supernatural elements about it, but he's mostly seems to be a like physical, just serial killer essentially. And because it seems like he's hard to kill, so that's kind of the supernatural part about him. But then it's like, but he seems to be like just a man wearing a costume. I don't know. But Terrifier 2, like, I don't want to spoil too much. I mean, the movie's been out for several years, so anyone who knows about it. But I will talk about this one little part in a vague kind of sense. But the first like 2 acts of the movie is like your standard slasher, but they also do push a lot into the psychological horror kind of elements, which was interesting. But then the 3rd act straight up feels like a really weird like horror version of like a superhero movie. I was like, this movie just took a really weird left turn. Just when I thought it couldn't get any weirder, it gets even weirder. And I was just like, well,
it was almost like halfway through the movie, they didn't really know what they wanted to do.
Yeah, it kind of felt like that's once that scene happened, I saw that. I was like, okay, I guess that's where they were going originally. I just didn't see it going that way because I just couldn't imagine a slasher movie taking that kind of turn. But I can see it now that I see it,
Okay, so they give you the hints that it's going that way, but
they kind of tell you it's going that way. You just don't really see it because, you just don't expect that,
so expect the unexpected with this.
And then and there's supposed to be a third one coming out. So I was like, what's the third one going to be? Like Art the Clown versus this hero aspect now? Is it going to just be even more superhero? Like, that will be interesting to see. So, which I actually kind of liked it because, admittedly, the first Terrifier, like, I like slasher movies, but I mean, it was a low budget movie, and so there was a lot of like fluff scenes in between, like the kills and stuff like that, and it felt like that movie just needed a bit more time to cook, I think, and so it was a little, as good. It wasn't as good as I would like it to be. I've seen better independent slasher movies, basically, is what I'm saying. But people really liked it, though. They praised it a lot, and people seem to like the second one too. So
that's like the black and white colors.
There are some scenes where it has some, because the director Damien, I can't remember his last name, but he is you can tell he's like a big fan of like those 70s grindhouse movies, and he likes to have that grainy effect in his movies, and because the second one has it too. Now you can tell it's a better camera because they had a bigger budget, but he still has like that grindhouse grainy kind of effect to it. So yeah.
I guess I'm a horror student. So, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that's it. I don't want to say anymore because anything else I say, I just wind up spoiling it. So,
yeah, I love it when directors take note of things that happened in the past and kind of implement old style with it.
Yeah.
Did you ever watch and this is a newer movie, so spoiler alerts ahead for people. The new Exorcist Believer.
I haven't seen it. The one with Dave, is that the one that David Gordon Green directed?
That's the director from Halloween Ends, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the one he directed.
That was a movie I wanted to see when I first found out he was directing it. I was like, oh, I like what he did with the Halloween movies. So I wonder. But then when I saw the trailer for it, I was like, I don't know. It looks kind of boring. So, but maybe it's better than it looks in the trailer. I don't know. So.
Are you okay with me spoiling anything?
That's fine with me. I don't know if anybody, I guess anybody listening, you might want to skip ahead, I guess.
If you want to ahead of what we're talking about with this movie, if you want to watch it, because to talk about this with the director, it's going to be spoilers. So spoiler alert for y'all. Just fast forward ahead because probably by the time we're done with the horror stuff, we'll get into the top 5 Disney animated movies. So he directed. So it seemed like at first it was going to be good. When I started the movie, I'm like, okay, this is interesting. There's going to be the 2 girls this time. And of course, the trailer does talk about one will live, one will die. You choose. And they do make sure to have that scene is in there. They make sure to emphasize on that. But like, he does this thing, which I thought was kind of cool, but at the same time was like, okay, this is a little
Yeah.
So, Halloween Ends. That's the one where, because it kills or ends that Michael gets jumped.
Where he gets jumped?
Mm-hmm. By the whole town getting.
Where they all start attacking him at the end. That's the end of Halloween Kills, yeah.
Yeah, so they basically pulled that stunt in a sense, but instead, of course, physically beating the shit out of the girls, the demons, instead of it being, just Christian religion or Catholics, there's a few different types of religions coming in on to do this exorcist.
Oh, really? That does sound interesting, actually.
It's kind of interesting, but at the same time, it was like, I know where you're going there.
Yeah.
Because it's all about, if everyone, and they really heavily stated, if all the people come together, they can save these girls. If everyone comes together, they make this line about this dude. He's like, you're the one that can unite all these people.
Oh wow.
And I won't say like who specifically. I will try not to say all the spoilers. There are certain things I will spoil. And so they come together, got the girls and they're doing the exorcist. So you got one woman doing the Catholic's prayer. There's other Christian groups doing this other prayer. You get this one dude who him and his sister had switched to this religion, and they're helping along with this other lady that's doing this specific one, talking about like Earth and stuff and how to get rid of the energies and.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember all the religions in it. I'd have to look it up because it's been about a week now since I watched it.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of modern day religions in the world, so yeah.
So they're all doing this thing, and then a Catholic priest who originally wasn't going to do anything because the church in this said that they weren't possessed.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they go to the church like they normally would to get permission from the Catholic Church, like they have to.
Right.
Catholic Church denied the exorcism.
Yeah.
So he's sitting on his car, he's praying because he doesn't want to, because he can't do nothing because he's a Catholic priest.
Yeah.
The father of one of the girls comes out there after dumping this water that he has this one lady with this one group, this one religion. I think she's like to the north away from the house or the east away from the house, one of the two. They had to be specifically to a certain direction away from the house. He walks out there and taps on the window and goes, "The real fight's in here, Father," and walks the fuck away. And eventually gets the priest who eventually comes in there and helps him out because one of the ladies that was doing the prayer on his behalf, she was going to be a nun. And there's a whole situation that caused her not to be a nun. And she's never told anybody because and what made her really believe the girls were possessed is one of them used her name that she never gave to anybody because when you become a nun, you have a new name.
Yeah.
And she never told anybody the name that she had picked because she hadn't actually went to become a nun yet. When she had a situation that stopped her from actually doing it. And so now she's like, they're possessed. There's no way no normal person would know this. So it was really all these people just like ganging up on their religions on this demon that was possessing these two girls. And I mean, it's a cool scene. It was very much made me feel like Halloween Kills.
Yeah. And that may have been the scene that inspired that for him. I don't know.
It really much felt like that, the whole, the power of multiple.
Town coming together. You had to stop Michael. Yeah.
Yeah, it really had that sensation to it. But the thing that annoyed me the most about it is when the girls say, "One will live, one will die. You choose." It really hit home to it was very obvious what the demon was doing. And I'm going to spoil this because if you can't see where it's, if you can't see what the demon's trying to do here, I'm sorry, but you are definitely either new to horror movies or you just don't pay attention to shit. And so they're looking at the dad of the black girl and the mom of the white girl, and both of them look at each other and they both can't choose. They're not going to choose, right?
Yeah.
Well, dad, he had lost his wife while she was pregnant with his daughter because they were over in I'm trying to remember which country they were in. But it starts on the beginning of the movie, they're in the country and there's an earthquake and she's severely hurt and they told her, the doctors told him that they can only save one or the other. Well, it does play on him because he chose her. He wanted her to be saved, not his daughter. But it turns out they couldn't save the mom, so they just saved the daughter. So he's now a single father. And the demon really plays on that, and it's a really good scene for that. I do love aspects of the movie. It's got some good stuff.
Yeah.
But the white girl, she's got both parents there. And they're very big Christians. The dad doesn't believe initially that she's possessed, but the mom initially believes it.
Yeah.
The mom immediately spoke that she's possessed. The mom's like, I know what's going on here. And if you not noticed, I haven't spoke about the legacy character that came back, the mom of the previous girl.
Oh, okay. I didn't know she was in it.
Because she's not in that scene.
Hmm.
She literally is already taken out by one of the demons, not like killed, whatever. So she's in the hospital away from this whole situation.
Oh, okay.
That was annoying. But apparently the actress herself didn't actually want to do the movie. I'll get into that.
But she did it anyway.
So basically they tried to double. They offered her double. She said no. They offered her triple. She said no.
They really wanted her to be in it.
She said that they ended up eventually offering her double the highest she's ever been offered to be in a movie.
Oh, wow.
And she said no. And this is her. She spoke about this in an interview. And it wasn't until they said, okay, we'll pay you this, plus we'll put a ton of money into this charity you're very passionate about.
Yeah.
She finally said yes because they offered to put a ton of money into her charity.
Yeah. Yeah.
So she was adamant about saying no.
Yeah.
But they offered money for her charity, so she couldn't say no because it's a charity thing that she's really passionate about.
Yeah.
So they literally
hit her where it hurts. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we'll donate to your charity then. All right, I'll do it.
Yeah, they had to low blow her to get her in the fucking movie. That tells you something.
Yeah.
That tells you anything. But yeah, she's not even in the ending with the main crescendo and stuff. Her whole story is simple. She wrote a book about her daughter's situation. And because of it, her daughter doesn't want to be around her. She hasn't talked to her daughter in years. And then at the end of it, she's sitting there in the hospital and her daughter finally shows up.
Huh.
So it's a whole happy moment for her. But back to the Exorcist, they're sitting there and they're struggling. They're somewhat beating it. Okay, I'm going to definitely spoil this because it's like, what the fuck? It was kind of pointless to have this character here. The preacher gains the courage to say, screw the Catholic Church. These girls need my help. Walks in there, all confident, grabs the cross from the almost nun lady. Starts chanting, he has his rosary, he has his hands on both the girls' heads with the cross and the rosary, doing the prayer. He's going at it. And then they look at him and his neck starts slowly turning. They snap his fucking neck.
Jeez.
Yeah, I'm like, well, there goes the fucking priest. Well,
we're almost out of time. So.
But yeah, the demon tricks him. The father says, I choose you, honey, of the white girl. And the demon, it finally ends. The black girl comes back to life, but the white girl dies and actually shows her walking through this tunnel, this water. And you hear, I choose you, I choose you. And all of a sudden the demon goes, I choose you. And it says her name and just yeets her ass under the water and she's gone. They literally yeet a young girl's soul to hell. I'm like, I saw that coming. If a demon tells you choose one and the other one, choose the one who will live, the other one will die. No, the one you choose is going to be the one they're going to kill. As a fuck you, you actually chose over another child, you little bitch. I'm taking yours. Spoiler over. So yeah, the movie's all right. I mean, it's not the best. It's the classic. None of the Exorcist movies have lived up to the first one.
Yeah.
It's very boring. Cool concepts, but it's very boring. To me, anyways.
Yeah, I guess we'll move on to the next section.
Next section, Disney time. Okay, the spoiler section's over, and it's time for Disney. Alright, I guess I'll go first. So, for me, my top 5 of Disney, there's one section that's going to be like my fourth great favorite is, well,
Your fifth grade
no,
favorite?
my third favorite is kind of two movies, if that's allowed, because it's a group movie. But number 5 for me, and and I'm not going to do a lot of talk because people, primarily because of the songs, they're fun songs. I love the Disney songs, of it. The Little Mermaid.
Yeah, that's your number 5.
Yeah, it's number 5 because the only reason I like Little Mermaid is primarily because of the songs.
Yeah, the songs are catchy.
Yeah, the story premise is good, whatever.
Yeah,
but I mean, I gotta give it to the songs. It's just you can't beat "Poor Unfortunate Soul" and "Under the Sea" and what is it technically called? Because it's the "Look at This Stuff," isn't it?
Isn't it called "Part of Your World"? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, "Part of Your World." Yeah, those are my 3 favorite songs from there, and they're my 3 favorite Disney songs of all time. 3 of my favorites.
Yeah.
And a lot of that could have to do with, the video game Kingdom Hearts 2.
That's what I always think of when I think of those songs. Like, because every time I play Kingdom Hearts 2, those songs will get stuck in my head for weeks. So.
Yeah. But number 4 is Lilo and Stitch. I will always love Lilo and Stitch. It has a special place in my heart. And I love both movies, and I love this TV show. It's actually one of the few Disney TV shows I actually watched. It's just alien creatures, and I'm a big fan of Hawaii. I've been down there I was down there for like 3 weeks and got to see a lot of amazing people and done a lot of amazing things. I love the culture.
Yeah.
And so to combine one of the top cultures that I love, which is Hawaiian culture, and aliens in a fun little kid movie, you're going to be top of my list. Now, number 3, mine are quicker. So number 3 for me is a double thing because I cannot pick one or the other. Some people have their favorites. If a movie has a sequel, they either like the sequel better or like the first one better. But to me, I'll never pick between the two, either whether it'd be the second one or the first one. Well, that is Atlantis.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Lost City and Milo's Return. I love both those movies.
I don't know if I've ever seen the second one. I know it exists, but I don't know if I've ever seen it. If I have, I don't remember it. So
I used to have both of them on VHS.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think we recorded the first one on VHS off someone's satellite or something, someone we knew. And that's how I watched. And it was a pretty good movie. I liked it, but it's not one that stuck with me. And like I said, if I saw the second one, I don't remember ever watching it. So
yeah, because it's another love I have with of course, lost culture, and I love the ocean. A lot of the Disney movies that I like is because they incorporate either their really great songs and they're catchy, or they deal with something that other aspects of my nerd self love.
Yeah.
Like I could talk about, I do like, and this is gonna be a hot take. It's not in my top 5, but an honorable mention. I do love like the Frozen series. It's not in my wheelhouse of things I didn't really like, but their songs are catchy. Same with a few others. I guess some catchy songs, but they're not really fully in my wheelhouse. They're just in my musical wheelhouse.
Yeah.
Me to be in my tops, you have to cover more than just one of my favorite topics, my favorite subjects. Number 2 is Tarzan. Again, also you can't go wrong with Phil Collins. I fucking love Phil Collins. He's a great musician.
The soundtrack for Tarzan is really good. So.
Granted, it is a kind of a hot take for some people because some people actually don't like Tarzan because according to a lot of people, Tarzan killed the Disney Renaissance era.
Huh.
Because it was I think it was like the first Disney movie. I might be wrong, but I remember correctly, it was one of the first Disney movies to actually have like a background soundtrack for the whole movie.
Oh, instead of like them singing it, yeah.
Yeah, because like Lion King had one song, which was "Can You Feel the Love Tonight?"
Right, but they still had plenty of musical songs too, where they sang. Yeah. So it still felt like the standard. Yeah.
Yeah, just maybe a little altered. But Tarzan only had one singing scene, and that was when the apes were,
Oh yeah, I forget about that part. Yeah.
Ba-da-da-ba. As I'm talking, my brain is switching back between don't stop you crying, it'll be alright. Strangers like me, I wanna know, can you show me? Bad singing today. But Tarzan's a great adventure. I did watch Tarzan 2 and it was alright. It just lacked that adventurousness to me as much.
Yeah.
But number 1 for me, and it will always be number 1, I don't think there will be ever a Disney movie, in my personal opinion, that can beat this one, and that's Treasure Planet. Because it hit the fact that it was adventurous, it was space, there was, I want his fucking glider that he uses, his wind glider.
Yeah.
And also it was a very, of course, I was a young male. It's a coming of age story for a young male, which Disney doesn't really do a lot of young male coming of age stories.
Yeah, they usually stick with females.
Which ain't no problem to me, ain't a problem, but I can't match with a female. I'm not a female. I don't feel like I'm a female. I know I'm a male, and I feel like a male.
Yeah.
So those. There's no way for me to fully connect to the character. I can connect to their situations, but there's still not a full connection there. Because, of course, as a male, I would probably deal with that situation. The situation would be slightly different for me. So a lot of Disney movies I can't really fully connect with. I can enjoy the adventures, with Big Hero 6, it could be up on my list, but I think it just came out when I was just too old.
Yeah.
Now, if Big Hero 6 had came out when I was younger like that, it would probably be number 2 over Tarzan.
Really, you liked it that much? Huh?
I liked it, but again, I was an adult. There was no character for me to connect with.
Yeah.
And I never lost, my brother, so I couldn't even get that aspect. I've never lost my younger brother, so it's just a character I couldn't fully connect with. I connected with the adventure and the comedy and the heartfelt moment, thinking about how I'd feel if I lost my brother, but it wasn't as connectful with Treasure Planet. I was a kid with a single mom. I was starting to come of age. I was starting to become a teenager and stuff. And, I was also a big space nerd, and I was a pirate nerd. I loved, stargazing and wanting more for my life.
Oh, man.
And also, he has some inklings of who his dad was, who was my dad. So there's a lot I can connect with that character, which for me helps that movie make it a lot bigger on my list.
Yeah.
So I can rant all day long about Treasure Planet, so I'm gonna cut it there and let you do your list.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people online talk about it, which this is something I never knew until I got older and just read about it online. But like the Treasure Planet is one of those Disney movies that developed a pretty good sized cult following over the years because it wasn't one of the ones that, caught as much. I mean, it was kind of, I remember seeing a lot of commercials for it before it came out. And of course, I saw the movie. And it was kind of hyped up. But once it kind of came out, I just felt like no one ever talked about it anymore.
Yeah.
It was kind of like it just was like, oh yeah, who cares about that movie anymore kind of attitude. But
Also,
then, like I said, years later, it's like I found out there was this huge cult following.
Yeah.
Everybody was like, oh, this is the greatest Disney movie. I was like, oh wow, I didn't realize there were so many people that like that movie.
Also, to add on to one thing that probably made it biased to be on top of my list, it's actually the only Disney movie that I had toys of.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, it was the only Disney movie that I ever actually
I had toys from various Disney movies, but that's just because I like toys so much. So
yeah, I just never. I didn't get toys very often as a kid. My mom, of course, being a single mom, couldn't really do a lot, but
yeah.
Got toys is primarily because my mom was like, okay, you do this, this, and this, I'll buy you a new toy. I'll let you pick the toy. And at the time with Treasure Planet, I already had a attachment to the movie, and I seen the fact that he's got him with the wind glider and all that. Yes,
that would be a cool collection of toys to have. Admittedly, I didn't have any Treasure Planet toys, but that would have been a cool collection.
This is a little break from what we're doing, and I don't care if the audience, anybody that listens, laughs. I'm a 31-year-old man. I would still buy a bunch of toys.
I wouldn't mind buying if they weren't so expensive. I wouldn't mind buying them for obviously just for collection purposes. But yeah, they're just kind of a little out of more than what I want to pay when I look at the prices of toys. So
I mean, I like toys. They're cool.
Yeah, I love the crap out of toys when I was a kid, and I was even admittedly a teenager. Because I was one of those people that just couldn't get myself to grow out of the toy phase when I was kind of getting older. But yeah, that was like one of my favorite things. You give me some action figures and a good sized floor to play on, and I'm happy. When I was a kid. So.
I remember hiding. The whole concept: people hide their porn mags in their bottom drawers.
Yeah,
I hid my action figures in my bottom drawers when I was a teenager.
Oh, I did that too. I didn't do it in my bottom drawer. I had a thing. I don't know what those things are called, but you can put it under your bed. It's like it was kind of like a giant tub. It was meant to slide under your bed. I think you were supposed to put like clothes in it or something. But I would hide my toys in there. And so anytime during the day when I felt like I had a good set of time where no one might come in my room, I would lock my door and then pull my toys out and play with my toys very quietly. Because I didn't want anybody to know I was still playing with toys. I won't say what my age was though.
It was funny as a teenager. Yeah. I would more rather my mom and people think I was in there masturbating than playing with action figures.
Yeah, I kind of had that same attitude too, especially when I hit that certain age where I was like, honestly, I would be more embarrassed if I got caught playing with these than if I got caught, playing with myself.
But I digress. We can talk about that more later on. But your top 5 now, my friend.
All right. Not sure how much time we got, but yeah, I get started. All right. So number 5, I got now my list like don't expect any movies after like the early 2000s, like because that's as late as I go. It's not that I don't like modern day Disney movies. Admittedly, I haven't seen all of them, but because there's some of them I just haven't seen. But I've seen a fair amount of them, and there are some. If I did like a top 10, some of those would get in there. But like especially Tangled, because Tangled's probably my more favorite modern day Disney movie. But that one's not on this list because it takes place years later. Came out years later. But yeah, so top 5 is Sleeping Beauty. This movie is mostly because I really just, let's see if I can explain this correctly. I really like this movie when it comes to certain scenes are very entertaining. Like I guess from an entertaining point of view, I like it a lot. I like a lot of the songs. I like a lot of the scenes, like with the fairy godmothers and Rose, being at the house and their arguments. Those are always entertaining to watch. And I even like some of the scenes like between the two kings, like when they're drinking and stuff and stuff like that. I just found that scene to be hilarious, and a lot of the other scenes. Of course, Maleficent is I find her to be a really cool villain, and especially toward the third act of the movie where she really shows kind of more of her power, I guess you could say. Uh, so when it comes to all those aspects, I like this movie, and I would probably rank it much higher if it wasn't for one big flaw with this movie. And there's a huge flaw with this movie, and that the plot doesn't really make a lot of sense when you think about it. It's like because she's the Maleficent, she puts this curse on her, or she speaks this curse like prophecy thing over where she's supposed to prick her finger when she's 16 years old, and then she's going to die, but she still has to somehow make it happen forcefully. So it's like, I guess it's not a curse she put on her. I don't know, it doesn't make a lot of sense. And also the way they react to it doesn't make a lot of sense. They hide her all the way until for the first 15 years of her life, and then when she turns 16 they decide to, for some reason, gonna have a celebration about her birthday, like, which doesn't make any sense because I'm like, that's the day that you should hide her the most. Like, you should have been more careful that day than you should have been the first 15 years. And because like that's the day it was spoken. So yeah, plot wise, in my opinion, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. But if I can ignore all that, I mean, it's just a kids movie. I can ignore all that, and if you just pay attention to the entertainment of the movie, I think it's a lot of fun. And like I said, I like the songs and stuff. So
Yeah.
but yeah, that's top 5. Number 4, definitely have to say Mulan. This is one of the movies my mom was probably more obsessed with, and she kind of got me into it as a kid. This was one of the movies I really liked when I was a kid a lot. Admittedly, when I kind of went through my quote unquote edgy teenage years, I kind of got to the phase where I didn't like this movie. I was like, oh, that movie's boring, kind of attitude to it. And but when I rewatched it as an adult, I was like, nah, this movie's still good. I like it. And it's also probably one of my favorite worlds that I go to in Kingdom Hearts 2. As a side note, because I just like going there. It's a little bit of a different atmosphere than you get from some of the other worlds. So, which I guess, yeah. Anyway, we won't get into Kingdom Hearts. I just thought I'd throw that in as a side note. But yeah, I like this movie. I think it's I just like the movie. I like the villain. I think he feels very threat. I like villains that actually legitimately feel threatening. So, and he legitimately feels threatening. And like I said, I like the story and everything. And the songs I would say the songs in this movie are even better than like Sleeping Beauty. They're way more catchy and a lot of fun to listen to. So.
Who is that girl I see? Somehow I make a man. I love the songs. It's in my top 10 for sure.
Yeah, definitely a good movie. So I guess that's all I really got to say about that one. So number 3 is Pocahontas. Now, okay. This is a movie, admittedly, I kind of had sort of the opposite opinion when I was a kid. When I was a kid, I just didn't really have one feeling about it one way or the other. I was just kind of like, yeah, it's fine kind of attitude, I guess, about it. But as I got older, I don't know what happened, but I just really grew to just love this movie, like in my late teen years and my adult years and stuff. I just really like the movie. I like pretty much all the characters in the movie. I just find it very entertaining. The songs I think are really good. I even like Pocahontas too, but like I said, I didn't put it on this list because that would be breaking my own rules. But like I said, I really like the movie a lot. John Smith I like him as a character too. I like Governor John Radcliffe he's an interesting villain because he's kind of like it's a different kind of villain, I guess you say. He's an example of a villain that thinks he's doing the right thing, because like this is the way he was, his culture and the way he was raised, like, but you see as from the outside looking in, you see, yeah, he's doing all these horrible things to these people. So, but yeah, but of course in real life, the Indians didn't treat him all that great either. Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, Native Americans. I didn't mean to say that. They didn't treat him all that great either. Like, because apparently they tied him to a tree and peeled his skin off, but of course, that didn't happen in the movie. But
the Pocahontas movie, like, I'm one of in that grouping of like 100,000 people that's actually related to Pocahontas.
Mm-hmm.
And I know the true story. So for me, any Disney movie that's their take on true events, I don't tend to like as much.
Oh, really? Okay.
Because
you prefer it when they just do like take it off a fictional story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like you make people like the lightheartedness out of something that's very dark, very like.
Well, most of the stories that Disney take were originally dark, but of course those were fake stories, though.
But taking a fake story and making it lighthearted,
especially the Brother Grimm stories, like that. Most of the stories they took from those, a lot of those were really, really dark. But of course, Disney didn't want to make them that way. They wanted to make them fun and cutesy.
A lot of it comes from this. Actually, like my dislike of Pocahontas movie. Like, I'll still watch it. It's still a great film. But a lot of it, what made me really start to not like Pocahontas is I actually have known people that believe that's the true way that it happened. Did y'all not pay attention in high school, or did your high school not cover?
Yeah, well, I'm aware. Yeah, that's not the true story. Like, yeah, I remember learning in history class what really happened. I was like, oh wow, interesting stuff. But that was before I was even a Pocahontas fan. So I just separate the movie from the actual event stuff in my mind. So I just think of Pocahontas as because it is technically the movie Pocahontas is just a fictional story because it technically is. So
yeah.
But yeah, I even like Pocahontas too. I think it's pretty good where she goes over to England and learns about England culture. One more thing. I kind of like with Pocahontas. I kind of like the way the situation is resolved at the end too, because it's not only just like Governor Radcliffe was, of course, the source of most of these problems that were happening in the movie, but but it's not just like he was really the only villain, because the movie was also sort of telling a story of a misunderstanding between these two groups of people. And then I like the way it gets resolved to where they both just agree to disagree. Like we agree we're not just like you and you're not just like us, and that's okay. So kind of attitude. And I like that. It's a little different than what you see in most kid movies where they always just make it like where it's clear like this person's the bad guy and we defeated him and so now it's resolved now that he's gone. So it was kind of like they had to do two things. They needed to get rid of Governor Radcliffe and they needed to settle their differences too. So which I like. So all right. So number 2 is Lilo and Stitch. Yeah, I'll admit it. I love the crap out of this movie. This is one of those movies I loved when I was a kid, and I still love as an adult. So, probably one of my favorite things is about this movie is it caters. I think it caters really well to both boys and girls. Because, like, if you're a girl, you might, relate more to Lilo, and if you're a boy, you might relate more to Stitch. So, because when you're young, sometimes girls often accuse boys of being like gross or weird or whatever. But admittedly, Lilo is, she kind of has half and half sort of. She has like the girly side to her, but she also has kind of the tomboy side to her too. So you could probably throw that in as well. But yeah, I love this movie. Like just like Eric said, I love the fusion of like the Hawaiian like culture with the alien kind of like jokey stuff thrown in there. It's a good movie that knows how to be silly and have fun, but it's also has a lot of serious moments too, and it does a really good job jumping back and forth between the two and incorporating it all together. I thought so.
That actually just popped in my head that I remembered, and this is where I was Lilo and Stitch. Do you know that the scene where they're chasing each other and he's in the big red spaceship?
Yeah.
Do you know that actually apparently that was supposed to be, and originally they drew it to be like a Boeing 747?
Yeah, I saw that originally because when they were still working on the movie, this was before 9/11, and he was he was like in that jet or airplane or whatever it was, and they were actually flying around the city, and but then they changed it to where he's in his spaceship, and they're still more like in the like mountainy kind of area. So, and I was like, oh wow, that's interesting. I was like, yeah, I could see that. I was like, the scene still works really well though, because that's still, even without it being like in the city setting and in the airplane, it's still a very intense scene. So, but yeah, I saw
Also,
that
that's pretty much a villain redemption arc story too.
Yeah, it kind of is because he was the one that created, all these experiments, and Stitch being like kind of the most extreme, more powerful version.
Yeah,
because and he even admitted that it's like, oh yeah, he's supposed to destroy everything, like he admitted that he was kind of doing this for bad purposes. So but then he, when he saw Stitch's the way he behaved and changed himself, then it kind of led him to change too. So
and then it made the guy who was supposed to be the head of the good guys be the bad guy.
Yeah, a little bit of a twist there. Yeah,
it was a great movie.
But yeah, I don't remember if I saw this movie in theater or not. This may have been a movie that I saw when one of those, because when I was a kid, like especially my preteen years, there was a lot of movies we rented instead of going to the theaters to watch, and I think this may have been one of them. So I can't remember. But yeah, this would have been a good movie to see in theaters though if I didn't see it, because like there's some of those, especially some of the flying scenes and stuff, or would have been really good to see on the big screen.
Yeah.
But yeah, great movie. The only teeny tiny little flaw with this movie, as I will say, is there are a couple of boring scenes. Like I never was, even as a kid and also as an adult, I never really cared for that surfing scene where they just all they're essentially doing is just like surfing. So I get the point of the scene, but like I feel like it goes on a little longer than it really is supposed to. So it just feels kind of fluff to me. And then I think there's one other scene, if I can remember at the top of my head, that does something similar to that too, where it just kind of feels like fluff, and it just feels so unnecessary to be that long. So
to me though, the best scene in the entire movie,
yeah,
is when that girl makes the comment to Lilo and she starts to charge off towards her, and Stitch just pulls out a camera. That redheaded girl that doesn't like Lilo.
I don't remember that part. She pulls out a camera?
No, so Lilo goes to attack her, and Stitch just pulls up the camera and starts taking pictures.
Oh, okay. I probably do. I never just paid close attention, I guess. Obviously I've seen that scene because I've watched the movie like so many times I can't even count. But
because they're out there in the market or whatever, and that girl makes a comment to her, and she's in there, and she starts like angrily walking towards her, and Stitch pulls out the camera that they have.
Yeah, I'll have to pay attention to that next time I watch that movie, because Lilo and Stitch is admittedly still one of those movies I will still like once every like 2 years or so. I'll still put it on and watch it because, like I said, I legitimately like it a lot. So, it's also one of those movies me and my sister tend to still quote from time to time. Like certain quotes in that movie will randomly like say to each other. So kind of a wolf, but yeah. Anyway, where am I? Oh, they're out. So my number one, what the heck? Oh, my number one, my ADHD's kicking in. No, I can't stop laughing. And my number one is pretty much the movie that got me into like Disney animated movies. I don't think it's the first one I ever seen when I was a kid, but it's definitely it easily could be like the second, maybe third one I seen, because I remember seeing it at an extremely young age and just like loving it from the beginning, and still to this day I still love this movie. It's just never changed, and that is Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. It's the very first Disney animated movie, and I'll admit it, this is one of those few examples of a movie too where I love like every single scene in the movie.
Yeah.
Like there's not one, even with Lilo and Stitch, as much as I praise that movie, there's still a couple of like maybe a little boring scenes, but this movie I can't think of one scene that I actually find boring at all. So like every scene is very enjoyable for me. Like I love all the characters in the movie. Like all the dwarves are, of course, Grumpy's probably my favorite, but like all the all the dwarves are great though. They're like really entertaining, and but my favorite, I think the thing that wins me over to this movie the most is admittedly probably the villain. I really like the Queen a lot. She is one of my favorite movie villains. Like if I could make a top, maybe one day we might make a top 5 movie villains for just any movie. And if I did make a top 5, she would be in there somewhere because I just love her as a villain. I think she makes a really great villain. And she's so over the top. It's like just entertaining. And but Snow White's great too. I think she's a good character. But yeah. Yeah, I like the movie. I was gonna say, I was like, was there one more thing I was gonna say about it? Like, no, I just like the movie. So probably my 2 favorite scenes in this movie is like when I was a kid, I really loved the cleaning scenes. They were just really entertaining to watch all those animals clean up the house, you know. And they're so bad at it, but Snow White has to come up behind them and re-clean it. And
I just love the dwarves' reaction to it.
yeah, that scene is really entertaining too. How they slowly work their way up.
It's clean.
Yeah. Everything. It's like dishes or what? It's like, where are all the dishes at? Like, oh, they're here in this cupboard. What are they doing up here? And they're all clean. Yeah. All cobwebs are gone. Yeah. But then they get excited when they find out that she can cook. That's when they're like, oh, okay, yeah, she's cool. She can stay. Yeah, she can cook.
The fact that Grumpy tries his damnedest not to like her because he's grumpy. It's his character.
Yeah. But he secretly does. He secretly likes her, but he tries really hard not to. Yeah. Yeah.
But it's a very great movie.
Yeah.
But so I want to say some honorable mentions for my list. Like one of them is very much if I was as an adult, I've come to love it more.
Yeah.
And because I've understood a lot more about it as an adult. And that's The Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Yeah. That's probably one I need to rewatch as an adult, because admittedly I haven't seen it since I was a kid.
Well, because like to me, thinking back as a kid, I don't think I really comprehended it.
Yeah.
Hardly at all. Which kind of irritates me because it's very much one of those. If I was my teenage years and all that when I watched it, admittedly I was only 3 when it came out, but I'd watched it, as a young kid, and I watched it later as a late teen, early adult, and I started understanding it, especially even now, being in my 30s, just like. And it has one of the greatest fucking villain songs ever. Like,
yeah, I remember you showed me that song a long time ago on YouTube or something like that, and I was like, yeah, I forgot that song even existed in the movie because that's how long it's been since I've watched it.
Yeah, I mean, the whole concept of this is very much you can't understand unless you're an adult. Like the concept of temptation and the fact of hatred over your not being able to get the jealousy you can feel. It's very much an adult movie.
Yeah.
In my opinion, compared to most Disney movies. Like Atlantis could be considered more of an adult movie because there is, a lot of violence and the destruction and their fights, but they don't have that undertone adultness like Hunchback of Notre Dame. I mean, again, we've both are no longer in the Christian faith and all that, but like, understand the villain's whole thing of he hates the fact that he wants her, but is also mad that he can't get her.
Yeah.
So the whole song that he sings and it makes it such a great villain song is he's trying to ask for forgiveness for what he feels like he's doing, but also ask for forgiveness about what he's about to do. He knows he's about to be the villain. He knows he's going to be extremely evil. And he wants forgiveness for it immediately. Yeah. And it culminates to this whole big scene with, the bell tower catching on fire. And of course, it's different. It's a take on some things that actually happened because there was that massive fire that happened back then in that city. Yeah. And it was that take on that in a sense. But they very much, unlike with like Pocahontas, they still very much kept it a serious tone through that entire movie.
Yeah.
Because Pocahontas, even being in the same era, took a darker story in history and really fluffed it up. And there was some, very heavy moments towards more towards the end. But Hunchback of Notre Dame kept a lot more seriousness to it, which made its villain hated, extremely hated. Like, hell, for me, Lion King was more of a darker tone movie than Pocahontas.
Yeah, it kind of is. Lion King, it's one of those movies I loved as a kid, but I changed my mind as an adult. I mean, it's just Hamlet with lions. So
yeah.
To me, I actually prefer Lion King 2 over the first one.
Another honorable mention. I kind of do 2, but I prefer the songs in 1 better.
I actually like the songs in 2 better.
I might have to listen to the songs back, in a little while and see.
Yeah.
It might be a tough one to think about because 2 does have good songs.
Yeah.
But I just love the storyline with Tofu and all that.
Yeah, it's good.
But I'm gonna double check, make sure it wasn't actually a Disney movie because I keep forgetting if this one's actually a Disney movie for some reason. Yeah, Dinosaur.
Oh yeah, I remember that movie.
I freaking love that movie. Only reason it's not in my top 10 or top 5. I mean, is because it's just my love for it's more because to me it's not a Disney movie. It's a talking dinosaur movie.
Yeah, but it's like it is technically a Disney movie, but it doesn't really feel like one, does it? Yeah.
Yeah, I keep forgetting that it's Disney. Like, I literally had to type back in on Google to double check, make sure it was make sure it did say Walt Disney over it.
Yeah,
because it doesn't feel like a movie that Disney should have done.
Yeah, not only is it technically it is a Disney movie, but it's also a main studio animated Disney movie. Yeah.
Yeah,
and it's crazy when you watch it. You're like, this is a Disney movie?
Yeah. But it's dark. It deals with a lot of situations with these dinosaurs. And of course, we've talked about Jurassic Park in here and my love for dinosaurs and science and all that.
I like dinosaurs. I just not from the same, anyway. Yeah. I won't get into all that. We'll be here all day.
Yeah. We've already had that topic.
I realized where this was going. I was like, never mind. I'm shutting myself off right there.
We've already been this topic. Yeah. If you want to know that little Probably what he was going to say.
Yeah, watch our Jurassic Park episode. Yeah. So,
Watch, is Jurassic Park awesome? Dot dot dot, or whatever you
yeah.
titled it.
Yeah, something like that. I can't remember.
But those are like, yeah, it doesn't feel like a Disney movie, but it's a phenomenal movie.
Yeah.
And so I don't ever put it on my Disney list because of the fact that it just doesn't feel realistic. And the episode, if you people want to know what he was going to say, is episode 15. Jurassic Park is awesome. Dot dot dot, or is it?
Oh, that's what I titled it. Yeah.
Yeah, I double checked for the any viewers that want to go back to that, or hopefully you haven't already watched it and whatever. Oh well.
Yeah.
Hey, those are my two honorable mentions. Do you have any?
Yeah. One I wanted to particularly talk about was I like the movie Aladdin. I just wouldn't put it in my top 5. I don't know where it would land. But I do like the movie. I liked it a little more when I was a kid, though. I still like it now, but I think I enjoyed it more then.
One
But
I enjoy that's as an adult
yeah,
is King of Thieves.
I haven't seen that movie since I was a kid, so I'd have to rewatch that one to know. But I
That
remember
one
as a kid being kind of bored by it. But
well, for me, it's also, of course, the whole topic of the dad thing, being a single, not having my dad around and all that.
oh well, yeah,
Reason I like a lot of Disney movies, especially when I was a kid, was with characters I could match with, like I've said before, earlier. And Aladdin's one I can really relate with.
yeah. Yeah, Aladdin's is also one of those examples where it's technically a princess movie, but it's not really about the princess all that much. It's more about the peasant, I guess you could say. Yeah, it's more his story than her story, but it technically is a princess movie. So.
Yeah, she's one of the Disney princesses.
Yeah.
But
The one I was going to mention, though, was admittedly, though, even as a kid and even still now as an adult, I actually like The Return of Jafar better than the first movie.
I
Like,
love
yeah, and Jafar, again, going back to if I could do like a top 5 character, Jafar would probably be in my top 5. I really like him as a villain. I thought he was really good. And the reason why I like the sequel more is because it's more about him, and he gets to utilize his new powers more. Because in the first one, as soon as he becomes a genie, it's like he gets defeated, and so it's like in the second one, you actually get to see him like utilize his new powers a lot more. So, but it's sort of like a blessing and a curse, at the same time. It's like now I'm more powerful, but I'm also restrained to this goober that. And so it's like I really, really like that movie. The only downside of the movie, since it is like the lower Disney studio movie, is the animation's not nearly as good. So.
Yeah. But like for me, I do love Aladdin and the King of Thieves and the Return of Jafar. They're all freaking great.
Yeah.
But it is one of the few movies that, like, of course, I'm not, I'm still more of a biggest fan of the first movie's music. And also, of course, it's Robin Williams, rest in peace.
Yeah, that's another interesting thing. Return of Jafar is the only one where Robin Williams doesn't talk for the genie, because he talks for him in the first one and the third one, but not the second one.
Yeah.
He's talked by the guy that talks for Homer Simpson. I can't remember his name, but yeah.
Yeah, but the Return of Jafar, what I like to see the King of, it's one of those that I do like King Aladdin, the King of Thieves, and the Return of Jafar better because they are actually, to me, better stories.
Yeah, they're more interesting stories, I thought. So
more interesting plot points.
I will admit I do like the concept of the third one. Like I said, it's a movie I need to rewatch. But as a kid, I wasn't really enjoying the execution of it. But I might enjoy it more as an adult. So
yeah, but like the first one's still the best when it comes to the musical score and
yeah.
Because you never.
I don't know. There's some songs in 2 that I like a lot too, but yeah, the first one probably does have the better music. But yeah,
The problem is I don't remember much of the songs in 2 or 3. That's probably gonna be
yeah,
ones I'm gonna have to like. I gotta listen to the album for 2 and 3 because I don't remember 'em. But I
I
remember all
always,
the ones from the first.
even to this day, I'll still get the song that Genie sings in the second one when he comes back, and they ask him like, "Oh, have you seen the whole world already?" And then he starts singing like, his homesick song, "Now That I'm Home." Like that song always gets stuck in my
Yeah,
head for some reason. I don't know
yeah.
why.
Talk about yeah. That was a great song. I do remember right now talking about it.
But yeah, it's probably not quite as good though as like is the song he sings like "Can Your Friends Never Had a Friend Like Me." Yeah, that's the name of that song. That song probably is better. So
Prince Ali.
yeah, that's a good one too.
Like, and thing is, like, and it's actually one of the few live actions that they've redone lately that
Hmm.
they've changed or added a song that I actually like an added song, which would have been great, which is in the live action. I do love Jasmine's song "Speechless."
Hmm.
Now, because it's very much they do have the movie, the live action does make it a little bit more with Jasmine. And that was her whole song about she's not going to be quiet. She's not going to just roll over and
Right, do what she's
whatever.
told, kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Because, like, I do wish there was more with Jasmine in the animated movies. Because she has, like, a great character concept. I mean, hell, her lion's got more development than her, which is sad. I fucking love that lion, though. Tiger, I mean, lion, my bad. Tiger.
Yeah.
I fucking love that tiger. But I would love to have seen more character development with her because like the main primary character development that I can remember, I might be mistaken. If somebody in the if you're listening to this, you want to comment that what I might be missing with Jasmine. Her primary show that where she really wants stuff, so like she makes comments to her dad, but it's really in the song, A Whole New World, where it really shows what she wants. She wants to be out there. She wants to see everything, and
Yeah.
she doesn't want to be kept in the kingdom. Is pretty much, but yeah, there could be there. Like I said, I would love more with Jasmine. I would love to have had a fourth movie or whatever, where it's primary Jasmine and Aladdin doing an adventure away from everything else.
Yeah. That would have
No
been interesting.
Jafar, maybe them two having a battle and a whole new villain or something. I don't know. Because how long can you date someone? Because they never technically get married, do they?
They almost got married at the beginning of the third one, didn't they? But it gets interrupted by something. I can't remember what happens. The King of Thieves show up, right? Did the
Yeah, I
thieves
believe
show up?
so.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't. It's been so dang long, but I remember because that song they sing or whatever. We're finally getting married. Yeah.
Yeah, finally
Yeah.
get married. Finally get
Yeah. But
married.
then it gets interrupted. So I guess you just presume that they get married after the third movie ends. So you assume, okay, I guess they're now going to get married. So
After he deals with his father and his father becomes a good guy, whatever.
yeah.
He's like, how long can you be with someone before you start picking up their manners? Because, like, even though Aladdin was living a more luxurious life, he still had that street rat mentality of being able to jump around and.
Yeah, which is understandable. That stuff wouldn't just immediately go away just because you're living in a palace now.
Yeah.
So, mm.
Could you imagine, like, the court trying to keep up with Aladdin and Jasmine as they don't want to be there and do all the king and queen stuff.
Yeah, it's like they want
They
to go
want
on
to,
an adventure and yeah.
yeah, that would make a great movie to me. Even if you didn't have too much action,
Yeah,
that would be comical to me. I would love to see it. Again, there's some of my favorite characters in Disney history. So,
yeah. That's probably what makes those movies so good to me is I really just like the characters a lot. So, I mean, I like the stories and all, but it's just, yeah, I don't know, just don't like the story of the first movie as much as the second movie. So.
yeah, like they don't quite hit my top 10, my top 5. I mean,
Yeah. If I
it's
would have allowed myself to do Return of Jafar, it probably would have been number 2. it probably would have beat Lilo and Stitch because that's how much I like the movie. So.
Well, for me, the thing is like, as much as I love them, there's certain movies that I, for some reason, cannot see as Disney movies as much.
Yeah.
And Aladdin is actually one of those. I don't see it as much of a Disney movie.
Oh, really?
I see it because it's something that can stand alone without Disney.
Yeah, I could see it separated from Disney, but it still feels tied to Disney to me. So, but I could see it like in an alternate universe or something like where maybe DreamWorks or whatever came out with Aladdin instead of Disney. Yeah, I could see it. So.
It feels like it's so well rounded of a movie.
Yeah.
It doesn't stick to the Disney tropes. Because like there are, without no ifs, ands, or buts about it, Disney have their fucking tropes.
Yeah.
And that does not have hardly any of their tropes, in my opinion. I might be wrong. You can put it out in the comment section below. But
yeah, definitely their Disney princess movies usually are the more successful ones. So, because anytime they come out with those, typically those are the ones that generate more money. But there are some exceptions with their movies. So,
yeah, but Aladdin doesn't beat something like Little Mermaid for me, because for sure Aladdin should technically.
excuse me.
Although it is more of a side project, so technically it wasn't allowed in this top 5. But if I was to place it, if I had to, like, if we had the free rules of anything Disney's ever touched, whether it be their umbrella corporations, because technically Pixar can work in that too now since they own Pixar.
Yeah.
My list would probably be altered between the last 3.
Yeah, and you could even throw some of the Fox movies in there because they're technically owned by Disney now too. So.
And Marvel movies.
Yep.
But none of them will ever beat.
That's the problem with Disney is you have to kind of figure out where the circle is when you're ranking stuff because you're like, well, what kind of Disney are you talking about?
But like, Aladdin beats Atlantis for me. So Atlantis been knocked down. Atlantis 1 and 2 have been knocked down to 5.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't fully beat Lilo and Stitch for me.
Yeah.
It gets close. If Lilo and Stitch had screwed up even the tiniest bit more, Aladdin would have overtook it. It's that close on its ass to me.
Oh, wow.
Primarily because, of course, Lilo and Stitch check marks multiple boxes of things I like.
Yeah.
Aladdin's more of a niche spot to me.
Yeah, I could see that.
But it's the music, the characters, the storytelling that really puts it, it's got, to me, better music than Little Mermaid, which is hard to beat for me with music. It's got better characters and storytelling than Atlantis a lot of times. Yeah. But Atlantis still kind of up there with it. Because Atlantis is, of course, another one it only check marks a niche box and there's no music. So it's storytelling and it's music and the way the characters. And yes, I'm biased. Robin Williams was one of my favorite actors in the world. I got to meet him real life. Really great guy. I miss him to death. He really keeps it out there in the list to me.
Really? He's your favorite actor?
He is one of my absolute favorite actors. Like, thing is, I've seen movies of him that people haven't seen before, like World's Greatest Dad, which is not a Disney movie. It's not a comedy movie. It's a fucking serious movie.
Yeah, I've heard of the movie, but I've never seen it. So
the whole concept of the movie is he finds his son dead. He killed himself by doing autoerotic asphyxiation. If anybody knows what that is.
Yeah.
Because he didn't want no one to know that his son was into autoerotic asphyxiation, choking himself like that.
Yeah.
He made it look like his son hung himself and wrote a suicide note.
Yeah.
And got famous by writing these suicide notes and made a book out of it that it was his son's last thoughts. And it culminates to the end when he finally couldn't deal with keeping that lie no more. He just told everyone in the school. Like, he's in the school doing his speech, and he just finally tells everyone the truth that his son died of auto asphyxiation. He wrote the suicide note and this and that. And then he just runs off stage, starts running through the school with the song Pressure, playing in the background. Pressure, pushing down on you. And stripping all his clothes off as he gets up on this diving board, jumps into the school pool.
What the heck?
And I will warn people, if you watch this movie, if you haven't watched it before, if you watch it when he jumps in the pool and he starts to come upwards, do not pause or pay attention.
Why do you see everything? Yeah.
You will see his penis.
Oh,
it's for a split second, but his penis is on the screen.
Wow.
So that's fair warning for people.
Yeah, admittedly, most of the Robin Williams movies I've seen were his more comedy roles. I've seen a couple of his serious roles. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Insomnia. He's actually not the main star in that movie. He's like the sort of the sporting character, kind of, because they do this weird thing where the villain and the hero are sort of could be interchangeable, where they could go either way. And because Al Pacino's character, like, and I really liked him in that movie. I thought he played that role like really, really well. But I've seen him in a couple of other serious movies, and then
his character in Bicentennial Man.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, that would be more of a drama role too, I guess. Most of the
heart-wrenching at the end because technically, so he does the stuff until he becomes more human. Because he falls in love with this woman. But because he leaves and he comes back and she's got her kid, it's her daughter that now he's in love with.
Yeah.
And he willingly lets himself die. It's a very fucking it's an amazing movie. Robin Williams is one of the greatest fucking actors in my opinion. I will hardly love very few actors above him. And again, it probably helps, doesn't help that I got to meet the guy. I know I got to talk to him for about 2 hours. So, yeah. Sorry, I'm getting a little emotional about Robin Williams. But I'll stop being emotional about Robin Williams. It's kind of a...
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But I guess that's all for this episode, people. And
yeah, that about wraps things up.
Yeah. Got to talk about some random ass shit at the beginning. Yeah. Got some to reflect on some old Disney childhood and Robin Williams.
Yeah, make sure you check out all the links in the show notes because it'll lead you to all the social media, YouTube, and all that stuff. So,
you can actually link Instagram on there.
Yeah, it's on there. It's been on there the last like 3 or 4 episodes.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, you didn't believe I'd remember.
I pay attention to the comments section, nothing else.
Yeah.
But I guess, do the typical, like, comment, subscribe, BS, whatever. Gotta be your typical podcaster. If you like it, listen. Try out our other episodes. You got anything to add?
Not really. Just like I said, just check out those links, and that's about all I got.
All righty. Have a good one, everyone, and bye.